VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. I'm assuming ID means like dead people they were trying to kill. Pete, Corilla, the IC, amazing job. What? Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building and now it's collapsed. Excellent. Jesus Christ. Europe out again. God, Vance is so evil. Jesus. He's actually like evil. What the f?
I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number
have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So
I built the group my job is to make sure.
Oh, that would be super interesting. I don't know how Signal works if you can do that. Are you able to change your name on Signal and then hope you get dragged into a convo because your name is changed? That would be funny if that was possible. But it would be another good reason why you probably shouldn't be doing these types of conversations on Signal. Signal forces you to link a phone number like WhatsApp, so it's hard to fake someone. I mean, you could just change your name. It wouldn't be hard to, like, not everybody's gonna have everybody's phone number memorized. I don't have anybody's fucking phone number memorized, so. Apparently these are prior statements of all the involved officials on classified information.
Nobody was texting war plans.
Senior members of Donald Trump's cabinet have been involved in a serious security breach while discussing secret military plans, allegedly secret.
President put lives at risk, and you can get people killed when you do that. Both the president, Hillary Clinton, if there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now. This is a real deal, full-blown national security scandal.
She was less than truthful about it repeatedly. And it goes to the issue of both competence and credibility. It is irresponsible for an elected official in her capacity to be discussing highly sensitive things on a format that she had to have known was not fully secured.
I think it's why many of us felt that there should have been a prosecution started with respect to Hillary Clinton regarding classified emails.
When you have the Clinton emails, when you have the fact that the sitting national security advisor right now, Jake Sullivan, was sending and laundering classified documents into an unclassified server, on top of the fact that the sitting president of the United States admitted he had documents in his garage that you're going in and out of.
Thank you. This should happen. They're going to say no, but it needs to happen. Getting a no is important rather than just not even requesting it. I saw this. Representative Dan Goldman, Democrat from New York, is preparing to send a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi requesting that a special counsel be appointed to investigate the incident involving top Trump administration national security officials accidentally adding a journalist to discussions of military operations. This should be a special counsel appointment, but I seriously doubt it. But hey, maybe they'll do it. Or maybe they'll at least find like the most hack Republican job they possibly can to do a special investigation on it. But tapping the sign. New right-wing thing is describing crimes as generically as possible to pretend like they're not crimes. Someone gets convicted of conspiracy and they start yelling, wow, so it's illegal to make plans with friends now.
Jeffrey.
Oh God, who's this guy? I hate this guy. Josh Hawley. Senator from Missouri. There are a few people, him, Jim Jordan. God, I hate Jim Jordan. When you see them, you know you're about to hear the dumbest, most sweep, insane hack statements, the most politically partisan bullshit you've ever heard in your entire fucking life. Here we go.
Senator Hawley, I'll just read part of this piece in The Atlantic. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern on March 15th that the U.S. was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. And this reporter, Jeffrey Goldberg, writes that I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that, again, this is the article in The Atlantic, that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. Senator, your reaction to this?
Well, I thought what the Secretary of Defense just said, Laura, was an outstanding statement. And listen, I mean, we don't know how much of this is accurate or not, but it looks like even if everything the Atlantic reported is true, it's the president's advisors discussing among themselves options they might recommend to the president. And nobody can deny the success of what the president is doing here, which is what Pete Hegseth just underscored. And this is what the leftist media is reduced to. They can't argue with the policies, which the American people support. They can't argue with this new demonstration of American strength that is keeping Americans safe at home and abroad. And so now we're griping about who's on a text message and who's not. I mean, come on.
How long has he been a senator for?
Senator Hawley,
July 3rd, 2019. Okay, fine. I wonder if he ever made... what did he do before? Did he ever make Hillary email statements? Let's see. We've got Jesse Waters talking about this.
Did you ever try to start a group text? You're adding people and you accidentally add the wrong person. All of a sudden, your Aunt Mary knows all your raunchy plans for the bachelor party. Well, that kind of happened today with the Trump administration. Mike Waltz was putting together a group chat on Signal, an encrypted app, with the Secretary of Defense, the VP, and a bunch of other national security officials to collaborate on whether to strike Iranian proxies in Yemen who keep firing missiles and shutting down shipping. Well, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz accidentally added a reporter to the group text, and not a good reporter. Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, one of the biggest hoax artists around. Well, he heard some things he probably shouldn't have, but could have been a wee bit of a security breach. But it's not like they homebrewed a server and then bleached it or kept classified documents in their garages next to their Corvette. I'm sure it won't happen again.
Jesus.
Minority Leader Schumer has called for an investigation into how this could have happened. Would you support one?
Well, listen, it doesn't surprise me that Chuck Schumer's immediate response is engage in political attacks. That's that.
How many impeachment hearing things did they try to have for Biden? How many years was Hunter Biden investigated? How many different times did they try to investigate the Clintons for years and years until Ken Starr finally came up with the Monica Lewinsky stuff that was completely unrelated for anything he was originally looking for years and years, related to emails and Benghazi for Hillary? For how many times have they said like Obama is a fucking war criminal, needs to be investigated for a drone strike? How many times have they for the, what was it? Did we bring up Hillary's emails? Like there are so many things they have to, and they're like, oh, you guys want to investigate us for a little? Oh, wow, really? Oh, come on, guys.
Listen, it doesn't surprise me that Chuck Schumer's immediate response is engage in political attacks. That's apparently all the Democrats are about today is political attacks, and Schumer has a real incentive to do that.
Good job, Schumer. Look at all that respect you got, Schumer, as you walk away with fucking Republicum leaking out of your fucking ass and mouth. Look at you. Good job, Schumer. You sure did a great job, man.
Because his left flank, he's got AOC threatening to primary him right now, and he's worried about his left flank. I got to say, I'm curious why Schumer and the Democrats are not concerned about the fact that for the last 4 years, the Houthis have been allowed to engage in terrorism against America, against America's allies, to drive up costs for consumers. Look, that terrorism makes shipping through the Suez Canal much, much more expensive, which means Americans, when you go to the grocery store and department store, you're paying more money because Joe Biden and the Democrats were not willing to stand up and defend America.
Wait, so cost of goods wasn't because of monetary policy or printing more money or any of the legislation, but it was because of the Houthi stuff? Or maybe he just means it was a contributing factor, but okay.
President Trump is being vigorous going after the Houthis in his direction. And actually, I read through that the whole Jeffrey Goldberg article. His direction, the president's direction, was open up these shipping lanes. That's good for America. And it raises a natural question. Why didn't Joe Biden and the Democrats do that over the 4 years they were in office?
Well, they literally did bomb them. We literally saw it happening. It was literally happening, but okay.
Just one more question about that Jeffrey Goldberg article, and we'll move on. You were obviously fiercely critical of Hillary Clinton and her handling of classified information on a private email server, calling it grossly negligent. If we were on your podcast, The Verdict with Ted Cruz, would you call this grossly negligent?
please just find a way to pivot and just only talk about Hillary? Come on, you can do it.
Well, listen, it was clearly a screw-up. It was obvious that including Jeffrey Goldberg was inadvertent, and that was a mess.
Oh, never mind. Or just like fucking sweep harder than you've ever swept in your entire life. Oh my God. It was a screw-up. I like how the reframe, they must have, the RNC or the RNCC or whatever, they must do like communications. Like, listen, we have to admit that they did make a mistake. Okay, guys? We're going to admit that. But the mistake was just adding the journalist. Okay? That was the mistake, guys. That's it. That's all you give on. This reframing is so fucking stupid.
It was clearly a screw-up. It was obvious that including Jeffrey Goldberg was inadvertent, and that was a mess, and an embarrassing mess. But I will say there's a big difference in that immediately the Trump White House took responsibility. They said this was genuine, this was a real exchange.
Did they even? What did Trump put out a statement, or did they put out a statement saying that? I mean, this was after. It was like fucking undeniable. Hello, the guy knew attacks that were happening like beforehand. Destiny, why do they focus on the content? Why don't they focus on the content and just the reporter? It's an ad hominem, literally. It's to try to say, oh, this Jeffrey Goldberg guy, he's a troublemaker. He's part of the deep state, okay? So, of course, he's reporting the story. So it's a way to attack the credibility of the story by trying to attack the credibility of the author in a way that has nothing to do with the story at all.
Minority leadership.
One question.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
Oh, this was yesterday.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited
journalist,
so-called journalist, who's
there we go.
Made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
People do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or anything else, yeah. People do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or anything else, yeah.
I wonder what he was referring to there. People can randomly pick up secured lines to listen. That should never be the case, but okay. But I don't know what he was
as a result of this. Well, I mean, look, we look at everything, and they've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. We are bringing in business. We have another one.
Do $500 billion. Talk about another investment. Another company has just said they're investing so much.
One announced tomorrow, a big one, very big. Like in the history of our country, nobody's ever seen anything
it's trillions.
like it. And I think probably a lot of people are saying they started by saying it was the greatest first month that a president has ever had. And
who the f is saying this?
I think that's true. And now they say it's the best second month, and they had to find something. And this certainly will look at this. But the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different. But people do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or...
Publisher of the dossier. Who the fuck is this loser? I might even be able to link this tweet. If I was added to a Signal chat with our top intel and defense officials, first thing I would do is get on my knees and slurp, 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 and tell them slurp, slurp, slurp. I would then leave the chat after they'd each had their turn with my boyish asshole. Jeffrey Goldberg was lurking intentionally and didn't even slurp, I bet. It's beyond despicable. I would have shut it with my knee pads. Also, this should be a nonstop talking point. Once we're through with this administration, you need to ask people. Every journalist should be, first of all, no conservative should just be allowed near media ever. Anybody that was part of this bullshit should just be banned from all media, okay? But the question should be, all right, we had 4 years of Trump, then we had 4 years of Biden, then we had 4 more years of Trump. You had at least 8 years. Where is the deep state? We talked about the deep state the whole time. Who was it? Give me one concrete example of the deep state, because you had 8 years in office to investigate from top to bottom all this impropriety. Where is it? Who is it? How is it? Where, who, what, where, when, why is it? 8 years in office. So the full signal text chain that was released. We've got our disappearing messages set. Good job. Team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis. Let's see. Mike Needham for state. Andy Baker. Okay, this is them calling out who they want dragged into the convo. JD Vance, team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this is, as POTUS said, to send a message, but I'm not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There is a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. I wonder how normal it is that you're having like these political conversations on top of like right as a military operation might happen. Seems like it'd be frustrating, but why would we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices? Because they think the Houthis will retaliate? Is there a chart for how much trade is going through the Suez? Is it still super depressed, or? Dan donated $10. I've worked in military intelligence for 19 years. Everyone is both mortified and clowning on the gross negligence of Signalgate. The fact that he wouldn't be honest with the president about his positions is also just another damning thing. I'm trying to see how you're reading this to get that he's not being honest with the president. Is when he says, I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, is that what you're saying he's not being honest with the president on? I don't know if that's necessarily like, it sounds like they're putting together a group of people to discuss whether or not they should go through with this, and if they all come to an agreement, then it makes sense. I don't think that it's necessarily them not being honest. It's just, okay, fine, like whatever decision we arrive at, you know, I'll stick to that. I won't go and tell the president that I think it's bullshit or whatever. I think that's probably fine, right? That being said, if anything like this leaked about the Democrats, they would all accuse us of being like a deep state running the government, but there's nothing time-sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis, but that's a minor factor. I'll send you the unclassed data we pulled on BAM shipping. There's someone in there that isn't even confirmed yet. I think his name is Joe Kent. Yeah, I was going to ask who is the Joe Kent person. Let's see. Suez Canal, daily transit calls and transit trade volume. January of 2024. Is this when the Houthi stuff started happening? Like, it seems it's obviously depressed. Is this just because of fear of the Houthi attacks? It seems like a very strange drop-off. Like it happened like at a very consistent level instantly, and then it's just held steady. Are these just boats that aren't afraid of getting hit by Houthis, or is it a certain type of boat that can't go through anymore, or? Joe Kent is the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Gotcha. Why do they care about what does and doesn't align with Trump's messaging on Europe or whatever? Will MAGA be mad at Trump if he helps our allies a bit? I don't even know. Jesus Christ. Everyone just rerouted around Africa? Okay. From a CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us, and additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. From Pete, VP, I understand your concerns and will support you raising with POTUS. Important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Economy, Ukraine, peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we need to stay focused on, 1, Biden failed, and 2, Iran funded. I love that these, like, the very heavy political considerations are being made when it comes to whether or not we should strike somebody. I mean, but Jesus Christ. Waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. 2 immediate risks on waiting. 1, this leaks and we look indecisive. Why would that even leak? How many different people are involved in that? That's such a... Okay, whatever. Okay, the drop-off happened when that ship got hijacked. Gotcha. The brave resistance hijackers that Hassan was standing, remember. So 1, this leaks, we look indecisive, or 2, Israel takes an action first, or Gaza ceasefire falls apart, and we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both. Didn't the Gaza ceasefire already fall apart even before this? But we are prepared to execute, and if I had final go or no-go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. I see it as 2 things. 1, restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and 2, reestablishing deterrence, which Biden cratered. I agree that both of those things are good things to do, but damn, how contradictory is that to the Trump admin's messaging on not wanting to be involved anywhere in the world? Like, the Houthi strikes were before the ceasefire collapse. Were they? Oh, wait, yeah, because I'm sorry, these strikes weren't recent, right? These were a while ago? But we can easily pause, and if we do, I will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC. Oh, no. Like 2 weeks ago, gotcha. I welcome other thoughts. It was 10 days ago, okay. The trade figures we have are 15% of global and 30% of container. It's difficult to break that down to US, specifically because much of the container either going through the Red Sea still or around the Cape of Good Hope are components going to Europe that turns into manufactured goods for transatlantic trade to the United States. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using, probably courtesy of Iran. By the way, this is why my understanding of the Houthis initially weren't Iranian puppets. This is a relatively new phenomenon that I think picked up a lot of steam around 2015, 2016, especially when Saudi Arabia started to attack in a coalition, the northern Yemen. And I think as a result of that, I think the Houthis kind of started to turn to Iran more for help, because the Houthis originally, they don't give a fuck about, obviously Palestine is super far, they don't care about that shit. And they didn't give a fuck about helping Iran or whatever, but when Iran stepped up to offer assistance to them in fighting the Saudis, then I think the Houthis kind of had to carry a little bit of Iranian messaging as well, which turned into them attacking, ships going through. I should learn the name of this. What is the name of that strait? Sea? Is it the Red Sea? Or is it before then? Is this the Red Sea? I forget. It is. But it's not. They attacked them in the Gulf of Aden out here. There's a city that the British owned in Yemen for a long time. I think during the mandate period, I think it's like the port of Aden, or this city, I think. And then they left, I think, around the mandatory Palestine time, I think. What's their goal with this? Who are the Houthis? I think they just, if Iran tells them to do something, they have to do it, basically. That little island has cool trees on it that aren't found anywhere else in the world. Oh. But, this is why the Houthis have more sophisticated weapons now as well. Anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. Because before, the Houthis, I guess it was cool from like a startup, not a startup, like a strapping, like, what would you say? A ragtag group of people. I think what the Houthis used to do is they would use, I don't know how, they'd have controllers and they would just put a whole bunch of explosives in like a little, is it a skiff? Like a small boat, like a little, like a tiny boat, and they would just drive these things into other ships to try to blow them up. It's just a boat. What is a skiff? A skiff is a secured, compartmentalized information or something. But I'm not talking about I'm not talking about that kind of skiff. Sorry, a sensitive compartmented information facility. But I'm talking about a skiff like a little boat. I feel like in D&D I learned that word, SKIFF, not that type of skiff, the other skiff. But I think you just call it a small boat. I don't even know. Are any of these shots, are they hitting and going through, or are these shots all missing? Jesus. Also, does this work? Can you just shoot at shit and it blows up or it breaks? Is that how it works in the real world? I know in video games it works that way, but... I know there are a lot of conflicts going on right now. Just curious, are you planning to cover Africa? No, because I'm in the Western world. We don't care about Africa here. Just the very top part. Rip. There's another video where they shot it and it exploded. Oh, well. British oil tanker. I guess British oil tanker doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a British crew, huh? Isn't it crazy that, at least according to us, the European navies don't have the capabilities to keep up with tech manufactured in a country that we sanction to the ground, like Iran, may be concerning? While I'm sure Iran also gets weapons and stuff from Russia, North Korea, maybe China and everything too. I don't know if they manufacture it all on their own. But also, I'm talking a little bit of shit outside of my comfort zone because I don't do military analysis. But my guess is most of the upgrades in sophistication of military technology over the last few decades probably has to do with like precision targeting and guidance and stuff like that, or like collecting like some type of surveillance stuff. But just shooting missiles at ships and blowing them up, or using bombs and blowing stuff up, is pretty crude. It's pretty easy. It's not a big deal. That type of stuff is just probably not as hard to make or manufacture. Someone said Iran gets pretty much nothing from Russia right now. Okay, well, that might be the case. Well, I don't know how much they have stuff stockpiled or whatever. I also don't know anything about Iran's like manufacturing. Maybe Iran can manufacture stuff like this. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer. How sophisticated are the Houthis? Are they just a ragtag bunch of pirates or what? I mean, they're not. I don't think they're very sophisticated, but there's like Yemen is a pretty big country. There's a lot of them, so. Oh, yeah. Also, drones have just changed a lot. I think drones, it feels like right now, they've kind of sort of become the nuclear weapons of small arms or explosives fighting, to where like when nukes were invented, it was basically like, okay, well, you know, we power scaled into the season 3 and now nobody can really fight anymore. So it's all kind of like fucked. And it feels like drones are a little bit like that. You can have these like immensely scary things that can be controlled at distance without sacrificing any of your own troops. They can like blow up entire ships or kill a bunch of individuals. It's just like, it's like super OP right now. I don't know why there hasn't been effective ways, electronic warfare or whatever, of disabling these. Or maybe there have been to some extent. It's probably easier to layer it on land. I don't know about ships. Like, I don't know why ships can't just like emit giant EMPs or whatever. Maybe it takes a lot of energy. Maybe it would damage the ship itself. I'm not sure, but a skiff is generally a flatter boat without a lot of freeboard. Sailboat skiffs look really extreme and are fast. Okay. EMPs are not real, but electronic warfare can be bypassed. It's basically a jammer for a specific frequency. Okay. Why are EMPs not real? Is it because of the inverse square stuff? Would you just need way too much power, or? You can stop drones, but it's expensive, and drones are super cheap, so it's always a losing battle. Building defensive countermeasures on commercial shipping would be ungodly expensive, at least countermeasures that could stop drones and missiles and not pirate dinghies. In Russia, Ukraine now, controlling them without signals through fiber optic attached drones have become popular to stop jamming. What does that mean? You put like a 1,000-yard fiber optic cable on the drone and just fly it like that? Seriously? Jesus. Fiber optic wires left behind by FPV drones. Holy shit. Do you think this is what the city looks like? Like every time Spider-Man finishes fighting some villain? Like they never go over cleaning up all the web bullshit. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship, cruise missiles, and drones Houthis are now using, so whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the President's request, we are working with the DoD and state to determine how to compile the cost associated and levy them on the Europeans. I like how we went from being like the world police to now like the world's mercenaries, I guess. Is that Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Jesus. As we stated in the first PC, we have a fundamental decision of allowing the sea lanes to remain closed or to reopen them now or later. We're the only ones with that capability, unfortunately. From a messaging standpoint, we absolutely add this of horribles on why the Europeans must invest in their defense. Wait, real quick. Wait, so what was the answer to why is it that some ships just go through and don't give a fuck? Like 25, I guess, of these ships numbered just started rerouting through South Africa. Why are these guys all like, fuck it, we can just go anyway? Because they're insured and the crew don't care if they get like abducted or anything? Or at Pete, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. God, Vance is so evil. Jesus. He's actually like evil. What the fuck? Let's make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. Like, our cabinet has like disdain for Europeans. It's like gross. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. The question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any, given POTUS directed to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. As I heard it, the president was clear. Green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement, e.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Agree. Team update, launch stuff. Currently clean on OPSEC, so he says. I will say a prayer for victory. VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. I'm assuming ID means like dead people they were trying to kill. Pete, Corilla, the IC, amazing job. What? Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and now it's collapsed. Excellent. Jesus Christ. Punch. America. Fire. Good job, Pete and your team. The team in Mall did a great job as well. Great work, all. Powerful start. CENTCOM was/is on point. Great job, all. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and we'll provide full initial report tomorrow. But on time, on target, and good readouts so far. Kudos to all. Good job. Bicep flex, American flags, prayers. Great work and effects. Oh, damn. There's a lot of duders in this group. Oh, shit. What was the journalist's first name? It wasn't Jeffrey, was it? Or what was it? It was Jeffrey? Okay, because I was going to say, one thing I wondered is what if on Signal, what if he changed his, not Goldberg, Goldstein or whatever? I don't know. I think the WCW guy. What if he changed his name to be like one of these other guys? But it looks like, I mean, his initials are here, so it looks like that's not the case. This was just a huge fuck up. Like, there's not even pictures on most of these guys' fucking profiles. Jesus Christ, it's so fucking wild, dude. How many people on Signal all rename themselves to like fucking Tulsi Gabbard or Pete Hegseth and put this profile picture to Mars? Yeah, I don't even know what does Mars stand for? That's not for Mar-a-Lago, right? What is Mar? Oh, Marco Rubio. Maybe he has 2 accounts. You should still look at the phone number, though. I don't know why you would ever say that. Look at the phone number. There's no way you're memorizing phone numbers of every single person you have to invite here. You just need to be on a better app. Or at least like click their thing and have a message history with them or something. But you shouldn't be doing this on Signal, right? The best theory I've seen is that Waltz intended to add Jameson Greer, the U.S. trade rep. Oh, But they don't ever talk to him or message him or anything?
Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary...
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
and you no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives?
No. Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are by migrants.
Do you care
No,
about
by
that?
migrants. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care
I'm
about
not-
American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't
about
care. I don't.
service members fighting for your country.
I don't care about
and
your
vice
fake news.
president
Do you have a
and your
relevant
defense
question?
secretary?
This is an American journalist. Thank you.
I'm an American, and I'd like to hear your answer to what she's asking.
I'm not answering her question
All right,
because
I'll
I
ask
don't
you.
care about her network. If you would like to ask,
asking you.
I can
Do you
answer.
have any concerns whatsoever about the complete disregard of operational security from the top level of this administration?
You want to know about complete disregard about operational security? You should talk about the Biden administration, how they ripped our borders open to terrorist, cartel, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and drug trafficking across our borders for 4 years. The Trump administration is doing a great job, and I stand by their statements.
So you have
I stand by their
comment
statements.
whatsoever about
My comment to you is I'm
confidence.
thankful to President Trump that he is leading us out of wars, that he's ending the war in Ukraine, where American lives could have been killed if Joe Biden was still president today, whether he liked it or not. We're talking about NPR and PBS today. We're talking about fake news that was funded with federal funding from American taxpayers. That's what this is about today, not journalists from the UK that care about
a
their...
journalist is being vilified for exposing failings in the way that your government conducts itself. And if that's what journalists do.
Jesus.
Article: The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Oops. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again from JD Vance. Oh fuck. So they leaked the group chat. Let's just make sure that our messaging is tight here. And if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Those are our boys. I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's caps lock pathetic. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet who can do this. Nobody else is even close. Questions timing. I feel like now is a good time to say, given President directive to reopen shipping lanes, I think we should go, but President still retains 24 hours of decision space. Houthi PCs.
It's all just going to be epic and hilarious, right?
This is after they blew him up. Excellent. A good start. Bro fist, America flag, fire. Good job, Pete, and you and the team. Great work, all. Powerful start. And this is the reaction to blowing these dudes up. Oh, fuck. Brian Hughes, the spokesperson for the National Security Council, responded 2 hours later, confirming the veracity of the signal group. We are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. So they even confirmed it as real. With emojis and about bailing Europe out. Man.
You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials.
No matter whatever Trump says here, he's going to laugh in response. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it, for the first time.
Do it. Laugh.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
I'm actually disappointed that there's not more dumb shit in here. Somebody like posting like a random meme and it's like Donald Trump like driving a race car. The thread is a demonstration of how deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials are going on. Imagine if JD was posting a meme. JD posts a meme of himself. Oh God.
Data Asman. Hillary's emails was probably before his political time, I guess. I wonder if he talked about the Biden documents. That might have been before his time in doing mass politics as well.
Democrats are very desperate to kick up some negative news against you right now. And one big item that we've seen in the last 24 hours is this piece out of Jeffrey Goldberg at The Atlantic, where he claims that he was added to a signal chat between a bunch of your top officials. That's something that the White House has confirmed that somehow he ended up in there. There's an investigation going on as to how that occurred. But let me just start with that piece of it. Out of a country of over 300 million people, how is it that Jeffrey Goldberg, who hates you, ends up on this signal chat? Isn't that bizarre?
It is bizarre. And he's a sleazebag, but at the highest level.
Yeah.
His magazine is failing. It's going to be out of business soon, in my opinion. It's bad. It's too bad we give it a little boost like this. But somebody in my group either screwed up or it's a bad signal. It's a bad signal, happens to. But it seems to be maybe came in with a staffer, and it was by accident, from what we can tell. We'll know pretty much today, I think. But we have some pretty good guys checking out the phones. But it's something that is not a big deal, other than you want to find out who did it and how they did it, because you don't want to happen. In the future, you can have that happen. But I've known him for a long time, and he is truly a sleazeball. There's no question about it.
The update we got this morning, the breaking news update this morning is yesterday, Jeffrey Goldberg was insisting that there were secret war plans that were discussed. There were plans, he insisted. And then just a short while ago, this morning, The Atlantic published some of these texts that they claim were war plans. And I noticed that in them, they refer to it, Secretary of Defense Hegseth is referring to known targets, but he doesn't say what the targets are. He just generically refers to them. Those don't sound like detailed war plans.
No, and there weren't details, and there was nothing in there that compromised. And it had no impact on the attack, which was very successful. It was a very, very successful attack. Then it's an attack that Biden should have done 3 years ago. But he didn't do it because it would have been a lot easier 3 years ago.
Talk about Biden.
But we're having very good luck on the attack. It's an attack that has continued.
Yeah.
But
bro, this guy's slurring a lot. Is he okay?
Maybe Goldberg found a way. Maybe there's a staffer. Maybe there's a very innocent staffer. But I think we'll get to the bottom of it very quickly, and it's really not a big deal.
Yeah. On the foreign policy front, you mentioned all these strikes on the Houthis. I know when you were elected, one of the key reasons is that you would bring about a peace in all of these big conflicts, in particular in the Middle East and in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Where are you most hopeful right now? Do you sense that one of these conflicts is more likely to end sooner than later?
I think I'm hopeful everywhere. Everywhere we're working, we're making tremendous progress in the Middle East. October 7th was a bad day, to put it mildly, and a lot of people were killed.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have been killed. But we're making great strides in the Middle East, and we're making great strides with Russia, Ukraine.
That's good.
Yeah, it sure seems like it. You're working with Democrats to some extent, although you don't need to at the moment. You've got the House and the Senate. But one of the things I've noticed about these Democrats is that they don't have a leader. It's not clear who's even leading their party. So if you, Mr. President, were to try and negotiate with the Democrats today, who are you calling? Who would you even call to negotiate with that party right now?
Is he okay?
Well, nobody knows. They don't have a leader. They have a girl named Crockett who is...
he hates her.
There's something wrong with her.
Ooh.
She can't speak.
He wants to N-word that girl.
Speak.
He wants to drop it. He wants to drop that N-bomb.
She's... I can't see her going very far in politics. That would be a shocker. That would be a shock to the system. You have some young ones. You have AOC plus 3, I guess. They're hanging around. And, people are waiting to make their moves, I would imagine, like in the Democrat Party. But we have a party where we do have a leader. So strong leader, very strong.
That's right. And Jasmine Crockett, who you just referenced yesterday, video going around of her calling Governor Greg Abbott, who's in a wheelchair, Governor Hot Wheels. She's been called out for that.
Bro, these guys reminds me of people that attack me, who all of a sudden pretend to give a fuck sometimes about, like, can you believe this horrible thing that was said about this poor disabled person? Like, these are the same people who are like, comedy's legal again, by the way. Like, come on. Are we being real right now? You're going to pearl clutch over this? Give me a fucking break. Oh, my God.
She later came out on Twitter, on X, and she claimed that she was actually just talking about when he was busing illegals around the country, which seems to me like a pretty brazen lie on the Congresswoman's part.
Well, it's a lie, and she lies, but she's a lowlife. And she's a very low IQ person and a lowlife. And I don't imagine the Democrats are going to have a person like that running their party. If they do, they'll never win an election again. It would be very It'd be very hard, but I can't imagine she's going to last long.
And what do you think of Governor Gavin Newsom's?
You know,
sorry.
to be smart, you do need a brain. You know, you can't get around with little quips. And I've watched her. I've only heard her for the last couple of days, and I watched her make a speech, and she can't speak. And she truly is a low-level person on the very important chart of intelligence.
Yeah.
And really, it's nice to have intelligent people running your operation.
Yeah, somebody you can talk to, who you could have a good conversation with.
She was a comedian. I couldn't believe she was a congressman or whatever she is.
Says the actor.
No, I thought she was a comedian.
That's unbelievable.
And she was sort of a little bit funny, but crude. And now I find out she's actually a politician, which the Democrats are going to suffer with this one.
More like the Democrats, am I right?
In some ways, finally, I kind of think that she's helping you in a way, because Democrats are just all cartoon characters right now, and people are looking at you. Yeah.
She's a dream.
Yeah, she really is.
Is he okay? Oh my God.
The President of the United States, Donald
Everyone,
Trump.
thank you.
Sir, it is such an honor to talk to you again. I can't wait to do it again sometime.
Well, good. We're going to do it, and good luck. And you're replacing a man. Maybe he'll be back there someday. But when I heard you got the job, I said they cannot have done better, because you are terrific, and you're going to have a great career anyway. So whether you'll be there or someplace else, Vince, you're going to have a great career.
President Donald Trump, the absolute best. Thank you, sir.
The GOAT.
Thank you very much.
As some would say. Absolutely.
What an honor.
Goated.
What a complete honor to talk to the President of the United States. Great conversation.
My GOAT.